So I commend the bill to the House.
Phil Twyford.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Labor supports this Building Amendment number 4 bill to Select Committee. It is, for the folks at home, the latest instalment in a long-running effort to improve the prospects and the performance of the building and construction industry. Ground zero for this story is the leaky homes catastrophe, which began in the early 90s and 14 years later, some tens of thousands of New Zealanders had had their lives affected. Some $22 billion worth of homes had been constructed, sir, with weather-type problems. It was a disaster born of deregulation, of poor regulation, of contracting out building inspection, inadequate product certification that allowed the use of untreated timber to be used in New Zealand homes, and the abolition of apprenticeships, among other causes. Thousands and thousands of New Zealanders paid the price for what was a terrible system failure in our building and construction industry. And since 2004, when the 5th Labor government passed the new Building Act, very few leaky homes have been built, the experts tell us. And since then, there has been something of a cross-party consensus to further fine-tune the regulation of the building and construction industry, to improve the quality and durability of New Zealand homes, to build right first time, to protect the consumer, and to get builders, architects, designers and other building professionals to be accountable for their work. The 2004 Building Act, sir, reinstalled proper regulation, and since then there's been a lot of work to try to fine-tune building regulation, to lighten the load of compliance while continually trying to improve quality and accountability. And I pay tribute, sir, to the work of former ministers Clayton Cosgrove, Shane Jones, and also to the work of the current Minister, Maurice Williamson, who's continued with this work. As I said, there have been, we're advised, very few leaky homes constructed since 2004, but a number of reviews in the intervening period have underlined costs, heavy costs, which are ultimately borne by New Zealand families who are paying the bill for new homes that are being built, complexity weighing down the whole process, and long delays in the issuing of building consents. The main thing on the menu, sir, with this bill is a new system of contracts, a new set of requirements for contracts for residential building. It requires pre-contract information that says a builder must not enter into a residential building contract unless that person has first provided to the client a whole lot of prescribed information. What else does it do? It provides that a residential building contract under a certain, over a certain price must be calculated according to a certain format and methodology and contain all sorts of particular information. The other key bit of it, sir, is around implied warranties, and the bill sets out in some detail a whole lot of implied warranties that will follow as a result of these contracts being put into place. That, for example, the building work will be carried out in a proper and competent manner, that all materials to be supplied for use in the building work will be suitable for the purpose, that the building work will be carried out in accordance with all the laws and legal requirements, and so on. Now, sir, there's nothing wrong with this idea. I don't think anybody on this side of the House will dispute the basic intention of this bill to bring clarity and some accountability to residential building contracts. There are a number of other bits and bobs in the bill. One of them that's worth mentioning in this debate, sir, probably is the question of dams. And Lord knows how this particular issue got shoehorned into this particular bill, but it's here nevertheless. And what the bill does is that it tries to focus the requirement for regional councils and their monitoring of dams. It changes the threshold, sir, so that I think 40% fewer dams will be required to be classified for a certain level of kind of monitoring. So that will save something like $1.1 million in compliance costs for dam owners. Let's hope the officials have got the numbers right. Let's hope that this example of risk-based consenting, risk-based management is appropriate, sir. But the main thing that I wanted to say is that even though there is a high level of cross-party consensus for the ongoing process of the Building Act review, and we will be voting to send this bill to Select Committee, I do want to note, sir, that in the face of the huge challenges that are before the building and construction industry, this bill, like its predecessor, the Building Amendment Bill number 3, is a masterpiece of incrementalism. To say that it's a modest effort is an understatement. The challenges facing the building and construction industry are massive. It suffers year in, year out from a chronic skills deficit that hasn't been helped by the underinvestment by this government in apprenticeships in the industry. The industry is buffeted by the boom and bust cycle, possibly more than any other industry in our economy. Every time the cycle goes down, skilled workers head across the Tasman, and we've seen that time and time again. In our country's largest city, the building and construction industry is probably the most glaring example of market failure that we see in the economy today. In Auckland, every year we're building more than 10,000 houses fewer than we should be just to keep up with population growth. So the market is failing utterly to meet demand in Auckland, and the consequences are appalling. Year on year, that deficit compounds, sir, and the scarcity drives up prices, and as a result, we have some of the most unaffordable housing in the Western world. The building and construction industry is plagued by low productivity. We rank at near the bottom of the OECD for the productivity of our building and construction industry, and as a result we have very expensive homes, unaffordable homes. And finally, we are killing people in this country on building sites at more than twice the rate that people are dying from accidents, workplace accidents on building sites in Australia. So something is terribly wrong in the building and construction industry, and in the face of those challenges, what we see, sir, in this bill, and I believe in the bill that came before it, the number 3 bill, is tinkering by this government. Now, instead of tackling the real issue about accountability and by bringing in proportional liability, what does this government do? But it legislates the definition of roles among contractors and clients and designers and builders and architects. Instead of protecting consumers through a mandatory home warranty scheme backed by insurance, what does this government do? But they write into a bill screeds and screeds of so-called implied warranties. Instead of trying to smooth out the boom and bust cycle, the government makes no changes to its procurement policies, no program of building state houses, sir. But what do? They basically give up in the face of this challenge and bring in overseas workers. So, sir, this is tinkering in the face of massive challenges faced by the industry, but we will support it to Select Committee and see what comes of it.
Holly Walker.